Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the final segment of today's Sports Vault. Did so much baseball, Cavaliers talk, NCAA tournament talk. You got to get all your favorite things in there. So obviously, to end off the day, we've got to talk Marcus Mariota, Jameis Winston. Read a very interesting article on Bleacher Report today, kind of comparing Jameis and Marcus, the situation we're currently facing with Peyton Manning and Ryan Leaf in their draft, and how the circumstances are very similar. Rob, do you agree? Is this situation similar to the one Peyton Manning and Ryan Leaf found themselves in during that time?
Oh, I think so, definitely, Joe. We look at it. You knew Peyton Manning was a great quarterback. You knew Ryan Leaf was great. And you knew already at that step about Ryan Leaf that mentally, he really wasn't there mentally. I look at it the same way with Jameis Winston. Not there mentally. Great numbers. I mean, he dropped last year from what he did in his rookie year. He put up 25 touchdowns, 18 interceptions compared to his 40 touchdowns in his first year. Then you look at Mariota, and you have that go-to guy who was just amazing in college, plays by the rules, knows what he wants in life, and is more focused on his career. You know, you told me earlier about Peyton throwing that point about draft day. I'm going to look at the playbook. Marcus is the same exact way like that. And it's really like that draft. I mean, maybe Peyton and Ryan Leaf are a little bit better, I would say, at that point. More of a in-the-pocket kind of quarterback.
Pocket passers.
Yeah, but otherwise, I mean, it's kind of like that draft.
It is, and I think it's kind of interesting because I think Marcus Mariota is in a position where he can do no wrong. He's not a guy you have any concerns with at all about his leadership or about the things he's going to do off the field. You know he's going to put in the work and he's going to do all the right things. He really can't lose here. I mean, Marcus is in a great position. Unless he gets drafted by the Browns or the Redskins, which I pray he doesn't, he really can't lose because wherever he goes, he's not. I think the only time you can ever be upset as a fan or a coach is when the player just isn't putting in the work. We've heard about RG3 that maybe he's not the most invested in putting in the work. And if you're a fan or you're a coach, that I understand being frustrated about. If a guy is not willing to put in the work, then I agree. You should be upset about it. But when the guy does all the right things and is giving everything he has, I think that's something you can never fault. And it's one thing I can never fault about Tim Tebow for. You knew the reason he wasn't succeeding in the NFL throwing was just because he's not a very good mechanical passer. It wasn't because he wasn't doing all the right things in the film room and all that stuff. When that is the thing, I really don't think you can lose. Jameis is different. Jameis, no one has any problems, any questions about his production, what he can do, his athleticism. It's all in your head. That's everything we're all worried about. And I heard a really interesting thing, and you can comment on this from Louis Riddick, and he was saying, a lot of people are kind of saying with Jameis, well, he'll mature. Well, what makes you say he'll mature? He said he's seen so many guys where that just doesn't happen. I don't know what makes people expect that a guy coming into the NFL where now he's making millions of dollars, he's got lots of free time on his hands, and he's got a ton of power. What do those three things do that'll make you all of a sudden mature? Well, I don't know. What did you think about that?
I don't see him maturing. I see Johnny Manziel Part 2 right there. I mean, this kid, when you act like that, you got to know how to act professional your whole life. That's what NFL teams look at draft day. First of all, not only his skill level, but how is this person mentally? Because I don't want to draft him just based on skill. I need a guy who's going to be focused in the game, know what to do in the big moments mentally, know how to keep his team together. And Jameis just isn't that guy. There's too many off-the-field incidents, and as a college football player, that should not be happening in the first place whatsoever. Especially with teams looking at you. Teams will probably be throwing $3 to $5 million at you, and he's really messed up so far in his life, and I don't see him maturing.
I mean, I think you got to be. It's such a difficult position to be in, and even Louis Riddick said he wouldn't want to have to make the pick, and I could understand that because you're dealing with such a high reward, but at the same time, how could you not be terrified by the risks? I mean, you're making this guy the CEO of your franchise. He represents you, everything you do. You're tied to him for a significant period of time, and if you miss on the pick, you're just back in the same position you were in. So it really, I mean, just look, I mean, picking wrong, making a bad choice with your first pick in the NFL draft takes you years to recover from. Look at the Raiders with Jamarcus Russell now. If you miss on that pick, it has devastating long-term implications. There's so much stuff here, and I just don't know if I would be willing to bet on a kid who I'm not too sure about off the field over a kid who I know is going to do all the right things in the film room, off the field. I just think it's really, if you think about it logically, there's not a lot of things that you have to worry about. I don't know why you would take a kid with so much risk over a kid where, look, even if he doesn't pan out, you know you're still going to get a good guy who's going to do some things for you. I think it's a pretty simple decision.
And Joe, we look at it this way too. Lovie Smith went 2-14 with that team last year. He's probably on the hot seat as it is. You mess up that pick, you're gone. I'm sorry, hands down, you're out of Tampa. I mean, as a Jets fan, I want Tampa to draft Winston because I want Mariota myself. I know what I'm getting, a mature man on our team. But Tampa, Lovie Smith has to think, which quarterback's going to help me win now? And he has to think, what's best for my team? Jameis is not the best. I'm sorry. So many mock draft boards have Jameis going number 1. Yes, because he has such a great arm. He has the build like Big Ben. But I'm sorry, he's not mature enough.
I'll tell you, he will go number 1. I think right now, all the writing is on the walls. He will go number 1, which is good because I think Tennessee, it's interesting because in this article, the writer was talking about how at the beginning of the draft, a lot of people would have said 70% probably would have taken Winston, 30% probably would have taken Mariota. Now, it's gone to 50-50. It seems like everybody is just, it's a coin flip between the two of them. I think Tennessee, it seems like they're very open. They will trade the second pick if they can. It's so interesting right now what's going to happen because now here's the cool thing too, Rob. It's like that draft with RG3, Andrew Luck, and Russell Wilson. All three of those quarterbacks, their fates are kind of tied together. They're going to be compared together for history because of the draft class. RG3 doesn't look like history's going to do very well for him. Andrew Luck and Russell Wilson, well, we know what they've done. I think it's going to be the same way here. One of these guys is going to be the heroic story. The other one, it's not going to be like that. And it's going to be a lot of very interesting. It's a difficult situation, but I know right here, I think the two of us are agreed. You got to go with Marcus Mariota.
Yeah, you most definitely do. I mean, come draft day, Joe, you talk about Tennessee open to trading that pick. Could you see the Jets possibly moving up for that maybe? Or do you think the Jets are probably going to just stay at that 6, not try to trade maybe another draft pick away to get it?
That's interesting because I don't know if I would think it's a bad idea if I'm the Jets, only because for a lot of these teams who are going to have to move up significantly and give up a ton. If you're the Jets, I think moving from 2 to 6 is still not that big of a drop. I might. I mean, look, we were talking about this a little bit yesterday. I think the Jets have a window. I think they have a window to win where they are a legitimate Super Bowl contender, but I don't think they can be unless they have a definitive thing at quarterback. Now, I think Fitzpatrick is serviceable, but I still don't think you're in that conversation with him as your quarterback. If you get a Marcus Mariota, I think you do. Even though he's young, we've seen from him historically, he's able to really fit in right away, understand things very quickly. I think that window you fit in, if you have him, I think it's possible.
Oh, yeah, he definitely would be a great fit, especially with the Batman-Robin duo already of Decker and Brandon Marshall. I mean, as a Jets fan, I want Mariota badly. I've been looking at mock draft boards, and they're saying we're trying to get a pass rusher if we can't get Mariota. The person I really want is Mack from USC. If he falls out, you know what? Nick Mangold's getting up there in age. No, we're not getting rid of him anytime soon.
No.
Ferguson's getting up there in age. And you know what? Try to solidify the offensive line maybe at this point. Maybe build up pass protection because as of now, Todd Bowles has Geno Smith as our starter going into the season. You know what? Geno needs pass protection. I mean, I'm not giving up yet. I've had my downs with Geno Smith, but I'm not giving up on him yet.
Well, here's the interesting thing, too, is if you do get Marcus Mariota, an offensive line is very important. Now, we did see last year he played behind a very inconsistent offensive line, injuries all year. He was sacked a lot, so he can operate without one, but I think if you really want him to excel and extend plays, which he's very good at, you're going to need to really tweak that line a little bit. But it's very interesting. I mean, look, as we get more and more close to the draft, we're going to be talking about this so much. I'm sure we're going to have more of a definitive answer of who's going where. Is Chip Kelly and the Eagles, they're never out of the conversation for Marcus Mariota. It seems like the Browns are in that conversation, the Redskins, the Jets, of course. There's so many teams tied to him, and Jameis Winston is kind of alone there at number one for the Bucs. And who knows if that will be a decision that they live to regret, but we will certainly continue to keep it updated, though. Great stuff, Big Shot Rob. Jersey Joe Archino and Big Shot Rob signing off. Everyone, enjoy the games this weekend.